Roman Reigns had a interesting 2016. Let's just say that. It was an interesting 2016, but while as AJ Styles had the best year out of everybody on the in WWE, he had a very interesting one, mostly filled with controversy and debut and ridicule booking. Now, heading into the 2016 year, it looked like WWE finally got the formula right. It felt like they finally got the Roman Reigns formula correct. They finally presented him as the guy everyone wanted him to be, and that lasted 2 weeks. They screwed it up on the first edition of Monday Night Raw of 2016. You see, after Roman Reigns won the WWE Championship against Sheamus, they screwed it up after 2 weeks. So, yeah, why? So, yeah, on the January 4th episode of Raw, Reigns would fight Sheamus once again in a WWE Championship match with Vince McMahon as the special guest referee. And because Vince McMahon was involved, the match would be slower paced and wouldn't be having that high electricity that the last time they had the match before. And it ended with Roman Reigns punching Vince McMahon in the face, which was awesome. So then afterwards, he started a feud with Mr. McMahon, which didn't really go anywhere because then it went to Triple H. Then it evolved to Triple H versus Roman Reigns. And instead of, doing that, they could have went with Vince McMahon and Roman Reigns having more interactions off of each other, probably leading to a heel turn, like revealing this was all just a part of a ruse. That would have been interesting, but I preferred the Roman Reigns punches Vince McMahon in the face as a way to say, you screwed me over big time with this booking you've given me. So then it would lead to Vince McMahon putting Roman Reigns, intentionally, as the first entrant in the Royal Rumble match, since it's going to be for the WWE World Championship. And at the time it was the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And at the Royal Rumble match, Roman Reigns managed to last nearly an hour into the match and eliminated 5 wrestlers, but headed backstage for much of the match after an attack by the League of Nations and was eliminated upon its return by the eventual winner Triple H, which was surprising. I was surprised. I was speculating that Roman Reigns and Triple H would be the last two, and I really thought Roman Reigns should have been able to last the entire match and not be forced to go into the back, because that would have been just a stupid idea, which it was, because they have to protect Roman Reigns for some reason, even though he's shown that he can last in the ring for as much as he can. So, yeah, I was pissed off at that booking decision. And once again, the fans are booing Roman Reigns, which was disappointing because they finally got the formula correct and then they screwed it up after 2 weeks. Must I remind everybody of that? So, this led to debatable issues regarding what's going to go with Roman Reigns. Like, they're clearly building up Triple H versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And then we got a logic-defying moment where it was announced that Roman Reigns would fight Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar in a triple threat match for the opportunity to face Triple H at WrestleMania for the WWE World Championship. And I'm wondering, wait, why? Because that makes no sense. Okay, yeah, what was the point of that idea? Like, wouldn't it have been like Triple H and Stephanie trying to make sure that he doesn't have the opportunity to become world champion again? So, why? And Roman Reigns didn't really do much in this whole build-up. Like, he came out once, and that was it. And, Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar pretty much were the only thing keeping this feud alive. And Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar had some interactions during the Rumble build, like Roman Reigns speared Brock Lesnar and then started pummeling him till the League of Nations got involved. So after Roman Reigns defeated Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar to receive the opportunity to face Triple H at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns would be assaulted by Triple H the next night and bloodied to death. Well, not to death, even though I'm pretty sure there are some die-hard extremists that would want that to happen because, let's just be honest, they're fucking insane. Because there are some that do wish Roman Reigns died, like Sabu did, which made me lose respect for him a lot. Yeah. But moving on. So Roman Reigns was bloodied. It was awesome to see that happen. And there's just one problem. It was awesome to see Triple H beat the holy hell out of Roman Reigns. Not the negative react. It was not the reaction that they wanted. They wanted, no, boo Triple H, boo, not cheer. And yet the fans are like, don't tell us what to do, Vince. We want to cheer for Triple H. He's awesome. Plus, he's not Roman Reigns. Even though Triple H has buried so many wrestlers, we're hoping Triple H does the exception and bury Roman Reigns. And then Roman Reigns disappeared for a number of weeks because it turned out he needed surgery on his nose, which begs the question, wait, why didn't he just get surgery during the Fastlane build? Like, clearly, Roman Reigns didn't do anything, so why not just get the surgery then and then just, like, do the match and then just do the build-up? Because that really should have been the build-up. Because then Roman Reigns would return after Triple H versus Dolph Ziggler, which surprised me that match actually happened. And Reigns changed his entrance to a ring entrance, his ring entrance to an entrance ramp, a default like other wrestlers, and attacked Triple H in a brutality way. And sadly, the formula was just ruined now because there's now no way Roman Reigns was going to get cheered. They were going to cheer for Triple H despite how badass Roman Reigns was that night. And even though everybody agreed on the internet saying that's the Roman Reigns we want, however, the fans kind of made up their mind. They didn't want Roman Reigns in the main event. They instead wanted Triple H to bury Roman Reigns. So, yeah. Well, it was awesome to see Triple H's head get split open and bleeding all over the place. Also health concerning. And Roman Reigns acting like a brute. I wanted him to destroy everybody in his path. Like, no one came out to help him. The Usos didn't help him. Dean Ambrose didn't help him when Triple H beat the holy hell out of him. Didn't, like, check on him. Or at TLC when the League of Nations got involved back in 2015. So, what's stopping Dean Ambrose and the Usos from being destroyed by Roman Reigns' rampage? Because that would have been really awesome to see Roman Reigns turn into an anti-hero. And then Roman Reigns started acting like the Punisher a bit. I'm like, he's not the Punisher, which, even though that character would be awesome for him, though really it wouldn't make much sense, but still. Roman Reigns was attacking Triple H from behind, and then it led to a boring segment at the end of Raw for the final build to WrestleMania, and I was like, well, we already know what's going to happen. Roman Reigns is going to stand tall, Triple H is going to stand tall, they're going to do this and that, and then we're finally going to get the match. And I've been waiting for this match for a number of years because this was inevitable. They've done multiple stare downs, they've done multiple confrontations, so I was like, when are they going to do the match? This is WrestleMania worthy, in my opinion. And while the match at WrestleMania was good, it could have been a lot better. There were rumors going around that due to all the stipulations involved in the WrestleMania pay-per-view and all the talent that was involved, they were looking to see if they could make it a no DQ match, and they never did, even though there were moments that should have felt like, yeah, that should have been a no DQ match. Like Stephanie McMahon getting involved and getting speared, which caused a reaction from the audience. Let's see. Roman Reigns spearing Triple H through the barricade. Yeah, that should have been a no DQ moment. And Triple H trying to use the sledgehammer with the referee unconscious. Yeah, that should have been a no DQ moment. And once again, Roman Reigns defeated Triple H to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship for the third time. Now, okay, I had a problem with this. Like, I was against Roman Reigns winning the title for a third time because I would have preferred if Roman Reigns would have done. They should have done this. Have Roman Reigns fight Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, beat Brock Lesnar because then at least Brock Lesnar would give the momentum to a guy who needs it, to a younger guy, and then have Triple H win the Royal Rumble, and then they can have their build up and do something at Fastlane, and then they can finally have their build up, and there. instead of just, hey, let's give Roman Reigns the title again after only 2 months. So after this, Roman Reigns would start a feud with AJ Styles at Payback in Extreme Rules, leading to an honest good feud. Could have been a lot better, like AJ Styles, the Usos, and Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows getting involved. That led to some entertaining moments because you didn't know who was the good guy, who was the bad guy, because Roman Reigns acted brutal at times, and AJ Styles acted brutal at times, even though they were trying to justify themselves, saying, I didn't do this, they did this, this he said, she said mentality. So, yeah. And Roman Reigns was shown that he could hang with the best of them, including AJ Styles. And then right after their Extreme Rules match against Styles, Reigns was attacked by the returning Seth Rollins. And near the end of his reign, they pointed out that the rating for the June 13th episode of Raw, which he appeared in, was the lowest since March 3rd, 1997. Okay. And once more, during the build-up, like, it should have been a double turn. Like, Seth Rollins was getting cheered, Roman Reigns was getting booed. It's a perfect match made in heaven, gift wrapped into WWE. And even though I was a huge fan of Roman Reigns, he needs a major character overhaul. That's the one thing I'll agree with. And they didn't do it. They just went with stayed the course. And then at Money in the Bank, Roman Reigns acted like a dark side guy. He was turning to the dark side. And I was like, okay, this is actually getting interesting. Where's this going? Like, then Roman Reigns lost clean since his first clean loss on the main roster to Seth Rollins, ending his title reign at 77 days. And then Roman Reigns had another appearance facing Seth Rollins. However, prior to the match, he and Dean Ambrose shared a moment in the ring after Roman Reigns congratulated Ambrose on his Money in the Bank cash-in win. And then Roman Reigns was hearing chants of, you can't wrestle, even though he clearly can. And Roman Reigns actually did something that I was not expecting. He responded to those chants. He said this, to all the dudes that are chanting that I can't wrestle, calm down, relax, take a sip of your beer, and shut your mouths. Which was like, okay, yeah, that was awesome. Like, where is this Roman Reigns? Like, he is clearly able to be a villain. Like, he was a villain. He was a great heel during his run in the Shield as this unstoppable beast. And then then Vince McMahon tried to turn him into John Cena. Ugh. And then we finally get this Roman Reigns, and afterwards, when it was announced that they would have a triple threat match at Battleground between Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, the dream match that everyone wanted to see, Roman Reigns gets suspended the next day for his violation of the wellness policy, and in response, he apologized on Twitter. And they detected that reportedly it was Adderall. And Pro Wrestling Torch and The Wrap reported that WWE knew Roman Reigns had violated the policy before Money in the Bank, leading to him being scripted to lose the world title at the event. So, yeah, that was problematic because I made 3 videos talking about it. Now, the first problem was, it's going to get more fans to say, see, I told you Reigns sucks. And secondly, we didn't know the full story about it. And thirdly, there were word going around that Vince McMahon wanted to keep the suspension under wraps. Like they said, okay, here's the plan, everybody. Roman Reigns, you're to drop the title as your punishment. That's it. Instead, we're going to keep this violation under wraps. Luckily, I thought that was the stupidest fucking idea in the history of wrestling, as one of the stupidest reasons, other than letting Hulk Hogan have creative control in WCW, which was a complete disaster. And we all know how WCW turned out for that. And they do this, and I was really against this idea, as the report was saying. So I wanted Roman Reigns to own up for his mistake, which he did, because he could have held the WWE up with the title because if he had no title, he had no legitimate statement to say, hey, I have the title, therefore you can't suspend me because I can take this title and not show up. And even though Roman Reigns has shown to be an arrogant guy because of his big push, such as I'm just a guy getting rich, or when I'm talking shut the hell up interviews, which really should have said that he should have turned heel during WrestleMania season back in 2015. Even though he sort of did, kind of, with moments where he acted like a heel, like feud with Daniel Bryan, pointing at the WrestleMania sign only and not at the audience like he usually did. So those were like small tidbits of a heel run, but it was not complete. So Roman Reigns gets suspended for 30 days, and this is just a week before Battleground. So yeah, this would be how long the suspension would last, and it was reportedly going to be Adderall that was the positive that Roman Reigns was detected, and people started speculating whatever he took, what kind of drug he took, or substance abuse he took. Like some people were saying, "Oh, he's on steroids. I told you he was on steroids. He's a steroid freak. Fire him." And then there was some saying, "Oh, he's on he's on those addicted cocaine and smoke and crack drugs and whatnot." And Sabu said on Twitter that he hoped Roman Reigns overdosed and died. And some people were in agreement with him. However, I was trying to be logic in this problem because, okay, say Roman Reigns did take drugs and did this willingly and knew what he was doing. Okay, what about getting a doctor's note like Adam Rose? And everyone was on Adam Rose's side, but it's Roman Reigns, therefore we can't give him the benefit of the doubt. And then there was and then there's also Shawn Michaels' case where he said to this day where he did not take steroids yet they found traces of it, yet he doesn't know where that came from. So who's to say that also happened? I mean, like, they're still iffy about it, but why couldn't those other two scenarios be brought up? Oh, no, wait. It's Roman Reigns. Therefore, he's not indie guy. He's not this guy. We can't give Roman Reigns the benefit of the doubt. So, yeah. So Roman Reigns gets drafted to Raw since he wasn't there, and despite Reigns' suspension, WWE continued to advertise Reigns as part of the Battleground main event, and went on to acknowledge Reigns' suspension on television, which led to some Seth Rollins entertainment with the Rollins Report. And on July 24th Battleground pay-per-view, Reigns made his televised return, facing Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. Now, word was going around that WWE said, okay, you know what? With this suspension, we have no choice. Okay, to turn him heel, like, that was rumored to be happening, and I was all for it. Like, I would say, yes, please do this, because you have no choice now. And yet, WWE did not do that. Instead, they made Roman Reigns lose clean again to Dean Ambrose, which I was alright for. And then the following night on Raw, Reigns also failed to contend for the newly announced WWE Universal Championship against Rollins at SummerSlam, as he lost to the debuting Finn Balor after earlier winning a Fatal 4-Way involving Chris Jericho, Sami Zayn, and Sheamus earlier in the episode during the new brand era. So, originally it was reported that the original plan was going to be Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, but due to the wellness policy, they had to change that. So let's give it to Finn Balor, which one thing I did point out in my Finn Balor video is, well, wait. So let's see if I get this straight. Finn Balor can make his main roster debut and get the world title in 1 month, yet if Roman Reigns takes 3 years to do this, oh, no, stop the freaking presses. That's illegal to us. Even though he ran in NXT and FCW, and Finn Balor's only been in NXT for 2 years, so where's the difference here? What? Roman Reigns didn't pay his dues like Finn Balor did in the independent scene? But not everybody, like, John Cena didn't work in the independent scene. Hulk Hogan didn't work in the independent scene. I don't believe Macho Man did. Goldberg didn't. Let's see. Who else didn't pay their dues in the independent scene and yet were still popular despite the fact and were pushed to the extreme? I mean, like, nowadays people expect differently, but back then it was more accepting. Oh, The Rock. And everyone loves The Rock. mostly, except for John Cena. And then he became a hypocrite. Yeah. So yeah, that was like okay. So then later on, Reigns would confront Rusev on August 1st, and then this led to a confusing feud with Rusev. Like it had potential to be a brutal feud, like Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns. But the problem here was they switched it without actually switching it. Like Reigns was being the bully, interrupting weddings and humiliating Rusev's wife, and Rusev's trying to defend his wife's honor as well as the U.S. title. So how am I supposed to boo Rusev? In fact, I should be booing Roman Reigns in this case. So why? So like why? Explain WWE. I want an answer. So Rusev and Lana had this celebration, and Roman Reigns comes out, interrupts it, and Roman Reigns looked relaxed. He looked like he was having fun, and then humiliated Lana because her face got covered in cake and her dress, and fans laughed at that. But when you think about it, it's like, wait, but Rusev didn't do anything. Well, yeah, the whole American thing, but like, why humiliate Lana? Like, if she was still in her pro-Russian attitude, then maybe, but instead it looks like Rusev's the target, yet Lana gets caught in the crossfire and Roman Reigns shows no forgiveness whatsoever. Or anyone for that matter. Look at Enzo and Big Cass not caring. And they sexually harassed her. Mostly Enzo. So, Roman Reigns would fight Roman Reigns would feud with Rusev, and Rusev would decline fighting him for the U.S. title, but Mick Foley scheduled Rusev to defend the championship against Reigns at SummerSlam, and Rusev tried to kiss his ass way out of it. Sorry, Rusev, that doesn't work. You're not John Cena. You can't kiss your ass. You can't kiss Vince's ass to get out of this. And this led to a match between the two a week before SummerSlam, and it was a good match. It stole the show on Monday night. In fact, that was one of the good quality matches on Monday night because they were allowed to give more time since the roster was split. Then the cruiserweights arrived, and then all of a sudden the split roster no longer mattered for Raw to give longer character development. So, yeah. At SummerSlam, Reigns and Rusev looked like they were going to be the second to last match before Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. However, Reigns and Rusev brawled each other before the match began, leading it to be declared a no contest. And Roman Reigns didn't talk, he didn't do any jibber jabber. Instead, he was just portrayed as the silent killer. And then finally, it looked like WWE got the formula right again. And that, however, was screwed up the day later, because Finn Balor got hurt again, and they had to rely on Roman Reigns to get in that main event circle. And I had no complaints about this. Like, I understood why WWE had to push Roman Reigns to get in the main event spot because Finn Balor got hurt, and people were blaming Seth Rollins for that a lot, mostly Bret Hart. And they needed a main event guy, so they have an established main event guy who was in a mid-card feud. So Roman Reigns was more like a backup plan to like carry the torch for a bit until they could figure out what to do. So I applaud them for doing that. And I thought Rusev would screw Roman Reigns out of the Universal title match during their Fatal 4-Way encounter. Instead, Triple H did, which should have led to another Roman Reigns versus Triple H match. This time should have been no DQ, but it never happened in 2016. Hopefully we get that this year. But then afterwards, Rusev got involved once more against Roman Reigns, this time during his match against Kevin Owens for an opportunity to be in a triple threat match with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens for the Universal title at Clash of Champions. However, Reigns would go on to feud with Rusev once more and win the title at Clash of Champions. And this was a disappointing match. It should have been like what Monday Night Raw's match before SummerSlam should have been. But it never had that energy. Like, it was starting to get that energy, and then it just stopped. And after weeks of brawling each other and successfully defending it against Rusev in a Hell in a Cell match at the titular event to end their feud, which was not the best. Like, Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt was a better Hell in a Cell match for Roman Reigns, but Rusev and Roman Reigns, they just couldn't click as much. And also, once again, fans were complaining, like, wait, but Rusev, like, beat him up, like, so many times, put him into his submission, and it took one spear. Okay. Yeah, F you, WWE. That was the mentality fans were doing. Like, at this point, it was like any excuse, any reason to find to hate Roman Reigns at this point. It was getting that bad. And yet, WWE said, nope, it's perfectly fine. So Roman Reigns would go on to team up with Team Raw in the traditional Survivor Series elimination match again with Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, and former Steel Brethren Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman. And around this time, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns were looking like to be buddies again. And yet they still need to do an angle to establish that instead of just working together against a common enemy mentality. So then Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose powerbomb AJ Styles to a table, and then Roman Reigns would be the final sole survivor of Team Raw to be eliminated by Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton of Team SmackDown. Thus was the last man to be eliminated, and fans were chanting, "Let's go SmackDown! Let's go SmackDown!" Once again, showing that we're fans cheering for SmackDown because SmackDown was being the superior show, or it's because it's Roman Reigns, therefore we have to no choice but to cheer for SmackDown live. I like to think it's the former. And then later on, Roman Reigns would feud with Kevin Owens for some reason when he's challenged Universal Champion Kevin Owens to a non-title match with Reigns won with the per match stipulation. Reigns would face Kevin Owens at Roadblock end of the line. And Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins teamed up again to take on the New Day and Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, who were having issues for the tag team belts. And Roman Reigns would not get the victory. The New Day would get the victory. And it looked like Roman Reigns was going to lose clean that night, but that didn't happen. Disappointing. So Roman Reigns would spear Kevin Owens to end the show and hold both belts. Okay. And I'm like, why are you forgetting that he has the US belt? Like, it's just a prop to you right now. That's pathetic. Like, even Kalisto put some effort into the US title. You're not even trying now. And Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns would face off once more at Roadblock into the line. And while that was a good match, it wasn't as good as their first encounter when Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns were fighting for the opportunity for Reigns to get in a triple threat match at Clash of Champions. Probably because they were given more time to do whatever they wanted, whereas WWE said, okay, we got a story going on. Chris Jericho, screw them over. Beat up Kevin Owens, and then help Roman Reigns. So this led to Reigns and Seth Rollins teaming up again to powerbomb both Jericho and Kevin Owens, once again establishing that Kevin Owens is the weakest champion in the history of Universal Champions, even though he's the second. And once more proving that a heel can't be beating the guy on his own, even though Kevin Owens has proven he can do that, in NXT at least, which shows the huge imbalancement between Raw and SmackDown. So Roman Reigns will receive yet another rematch against Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble in 2017, with Jericho suspended above the ring in a shark cage. And on December 26th episode of Raw, the final Raw 2016, Roman Reigns would face Kevin Owens again, this time for the US Championship, which he retained. So, yeah, Roman Reigns had a very interesting year. Like, fans hated him, like, critics were hating on him. All types of people were hating on him. Like, Roman Reigns was barely getting a 50-50 split. Like, at WrestleMania, fans were chanting for NXT, Nakamura, anyone that wasn't Roman Reigns or Triple H that night, because the main event was that disappointing to people. Like, I was disappointed that it was the main event on the grounds that it should have been a no DQ match to go with the violence, since they have been brutal with each other over the past few months heading into WrestleMania season. So why couldn't they have done that? That would have made the match a lot better. And when they went overtime, I was thinking, like, wait, are they going to do a finger poke of doom moment at WrestleMania? Because that would actually be kind of awesome. Because Roman Reigns would turn heel, Triple H would have a new lackey, and fans would get to have a legitimate reason to boo Reigns. And it'd be hard to decide whether or not this was executed well because look how WCW turned out when they did the finger poke of doom. And though, of course, that even though they falsely advertised Goldberg versus Kevin Nash round 2, and they didn't really falsely advertise Roman Reigns versus Triple H, they just got a result that they probably wouldn't like. So, yeah. And Roman Reigns once again started the cancel WWE Network trend, even though nobody canceled it. And Roman Reigns was also given the top guy and the PWI 500 as the number one wrestler of the year. I was mixed about that because yes, he's done as much as he could. He's been doing enough powerhousing to try and get critics to join him and not be on his hit bandwagon of hate. And he has tried his best to deliver match after match after match after match. And he has been trying to fix everything up after his suspension happened. But the reason why I'm mixed about this is because the creative team isn't giving him the material needed to prove the critics wrong. Like, he could do good match after good match after good match after good match and still wouldn't be enough for fans. They need character development. They need an overhaul for him. And then a report came out a week prior of December 26th that shed why Vince McMahon will not turn Roman Reigns heel. This is from Dave Meltzer, so take it with a grain of salt. But when I read this, I was like, okay, if I was a computer, I probably would have crashed afterwards. Because this report was so absurd that I wouldn't be surprised if Vince actually thought this, but I'd be surprised that Vince actually would think this at the same time. Like, I don't know how to explain it. You see, the reason why Vince McMahon won't turn Roman Reigns heel is because Vince McMahon believes Roman Reigns is at John Cena's level. Okay. When I read that report, I felt like I was a computer that was about to crash. I showed this on Bleacher Report, and fans were like, okay, it's Dave Meltzer, but take it with a grain of salt. But ultimately, Vince, you have fucking lost your mind. Because there's no way. I am the biggest Roman Reigns supporter you can find, and even I call bullshit on that. Because there's no way Roman Reigns is at John Cena's level. He's nowhere near at that level. He hasn't done enough charity work to top that. He's not selling more merchandise than Cena. He's not the Ultimate Warrior incarnate. Though, really, I don't know. Though WWE seems to be thinking that since they think he's at John Cena's level, just not enough since John Cena thinks it's all about him. And like this is really the mentality you're going with? Like like Vince really thinks this? This is really his thoughts? Like, this is what really goes in Vince's head now, that Roman Reigns is at the level of John Cena in terms of draw? No! Like, okay, you can have a thought that, yes, he's the next top guy, he's the next big star, but to say, oh, you're on the level of John Cena, even though you have only been around for 3 years on the main roster, fans hate your guts, not buying your merchandise enough, they trashed you like 2 years in a row at WrestleMania and at the Royal Rumble. And John Cena got a mixed to positive reception, whereas you get a mixed to negative reception. Yeah, why do I think you're at the level of John Cena? Oh, that's right, because I am incredibly stupid and senile. Like, I'm taking this report as a grain of salt, but considering Vince's recent decisions, I would not be surprised, but at the same time would be surprised, that Reigns' character would be that Reigns would be treated like this to Vince. Like, even some workers in the back, some of the wrestlers been describing Reigns as a, quote, teacher's pet because the big management likes him, but Roman Reigns doesn't seem to be kissing up to them as far as we know. It's just more like, you look cool to us. You're our kind of guy. So we're going to give you favoritism and whatnot. We're not going to give these other guys a chance, even though we could put more eggs in more baskets and not just rely on one guy again like we did with John Cena. No, that would invest too much money and too much merchandising sales for us. I mean, like, we did that in the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era, but we're the politically correct era. We're run by an idiot who lost his sanity years ago. So, yeah. Like, so many people have said the same thing. Stone Cold, Rikishi, his own family member, and Hulk Hogan have encouraged WWE to turn him into a villain, and after his suspension, Yahoo TV urged WWE to quit pretending he's some kind of lovable underdog, which I agree, with a heel turn for Reigns after wasting a dozen chances since the Boos first reigned at the 2015 Royal Rumble, and Reigns has been unable to connect with the fans in 2016, and on Twitter, on NoDQ.com, I believe, that people voted 3 awards for Reigns: most overrated, most overutilized, and most worst wrestler of the year. And a lot of people came to Reigns' defense, saying like, okay, did they even watch Roman Reigns in 2016? They're just hating him for the sake of hating him. Which, judging by the fact that this is, considering that Sabu had supporters saying he should be overdosed, that doesn't surprise me. So at least I was glad that there was at least people sprouting up saying, hey, leave Roman Reigns alone on that. Like, it's not his fault he's done this. He's not John Cena. He's not Hulk Hogan when it comes to political power. Yet, at least. So unless Roman Reigns does have political power in WWE, then I would take back everything I say. But right now it seems like, yeah, Roman Reigns seems to be just this guy who's being victimized because management is a bunch of idiots. So those were my thoughts on Roman Reigns' 2016. Looking forward to seeing how he does in 2017 this year. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.